But do you know the impact your domain name has to your business? Hey, Chris Zuiker, the options. We help companies to acquire the raw, unfiltered version of their brand, domain acquisitions, and brokering some of the best domains on the planet. So check it out, mediaoptions.com. Check out chriszuiker.com. Also do some videos over there and do a daily podcast. And video today, live video today, is about return on investment, ROI. Like, what is the impact that this domain name has on your brand? Like any asset, there's a reason why you're going to buy this domain name. There's a reason why companies put 6 figures, 7 figures down for domain name. There's a reason why domain names are important, and it comes down to a return on investment. Like, if you didn't make money, guess what? Like, they wouldn't buy it. There's an element to it. It's not let me backtrack. When I first started into this business, one of the things I heard over and over again was, actually not over, but I heard it was that, hey, it's a vanity. Like, we don't have money for vanity. Now, when I first started, I didn't know how to answer that because I didn't know domain names, right? This is 4 years ago when I first started. It was like, I heard all these questions on, oh, it's vanity. Oh, it doesn't help SEO anymore. Domain names don't matter anymore. We're an app. And so part of my journey was going deep into domain names to figure out, like, what truly is the impact? What is why do brands and domain names buy it? I knew from the inside baseball with Media Options that the best SEO people, like companies in the world, like, have the best domain names. Like, they will seek out to find great domain names because they know it has an impact. It has the ability to have a financial impact to their brand. So how do you have this discussion of return on investment? You see, one of the hardest things when you're selling domain names is like actually selling anything, but is like the worldview of the person you're talking to. When you first start off, unless they've done it over and over again, it says, hey, domain names are important. I don't need it. Like, we're fine with what we have. And to a certain extent, you can see their point of view because, well, guess what? They've made money. Okay, they're $1 million business, they're a $100 million business, they're $1 billion business. Yes, like, we have domains that the companies do over $1 billion, but still don't own their brand. But here's the thing, it doesn't mean that it's not having an impact to your company. It just means that you're comfortable with the pain. You're comfortable with paying the pain and paying the price. Now, if you are a smaller company, this has, like, the impact is much greater and the risk is much greater to your brand, but that does not mean that the risk is not there for the larger brands doing $1 billion. Okay, it takes a lot to knock off $1 billion company, but at the same point, if you're a startup and you acquire a domain of $1 billion company, you get the momentum behind what they built in that brand and the millions and millions and millions of dollars behind that brand. So there's a reason why you want to own that brand. Now imagine this. Imagine you had the opportunity to buy Apple.com. And Apple is a billion dollar company, okay? And you're not in competition with them, okay? Don't get the whole trademark thing. Don't get all upset there, although they have, I imagine, a gazillion trademarks. But your business was, let's see here, what could your business be? Pick a business that does not compete with them. Car dealership. It is a insurance company. Imagine the traffic that you would get, the goodwill that you would get. It would be tremendous. You see? So there's advantage and disadvantage. I mean, I talk about the 3 elements of equity. Okay, you're probably tired of hearing this, but the 3 elements. Number 1 is, what is the raw keyword equity? What's the trend that we're using that keyword in our in search? Right? How often is it searched? Is that keyword? Is it in our terminology? Okay, is it searched? So like a quilt.com or like an apple.com. Or like a bloom.com, right? How much momentum does it have? What are people willing to pay for that? What is the CPC? Now that alone shows equity that's inherently built into that brand, okay? Equity being life, equity being goodwill, being trust, being loyalty. Then there's brand equity. What does a brand build up? Okay, what if they invested? $1 billion companies invested millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, don't think you have not invested for consumers to understand your brand and feel comfortable with your brand. Then there's perceived equity and market trends. Okay, so advantages to buying a domain name. So ROI, I'm going to give you 3 different frames to look at ROI. Okay, and the first frame is this. How much do you spend on marketing every year? Do you spend $1 million? Do you spend $10 million? Now, for the sake of this math, I'm going to do $10 million. If you spend $10 million in your marketing and it has a 5% confusion factor because of your domain name, because you call yourself on Carrot and you really Carrot, or you call yourself carrot.co, but you know Carrot, but you're really carrot.co, you're not carrot.com. Pick your example. 5% confusion factor. $500,000 of your marketing dollars are being wasted. Okay, if you spend $1 million, that's obviously $50,000 every year being wasted. And that's at 5%. I mean, in some instances, it could be 8%. It could be 3%, right? So, but there's an ROI equation there. There's a number there for your brand this confusion factor is causing. Now, how can you tell? Okay, well, I'll give you some examples. O.co lost 61%, Overstock lost 61% of their traffic when they rebranded to O.co. Hive Teams, when they rebranded to Hive.com, saw a 40% increase in their traffic. 2 numbers. Show there's an impact. Email security has a major impact. I'm sorry, email. Emails show the impact. They explain the essence of the confusion that's created. Why else would they type in the wrong email and send the email to a different company? You can tell this by setting up a catch-all email address and clicking those emails. Now listen, if they send those emails to you, they're spamming you. It's not your fault that they picked a domain that was confusing and then sent emails to you. That's how you can tell. Now, that's one number, okay, one frame. What are you spending? What's the confusion factor? Now, let's look at revenue. Let's say your product cost is $500 and you had the potential to get a, let's say your product cost is $500. You're doing 2,000 sales a year. You have a potential to increase your sales by 10%. Well, you do the math there. That is $10,000. That's $100,000 a month in revenue, or $1.2 million a year. Let me make sure I did my math right here. That times that times that. So $100,000. Or you're doing $1 million a month. So 2,000 customers times $500 product. So if you can increase your conversions by 10%, that's worth $100,000. Another frame to look at it. What is it costing you in conversions? 10% increase in conversion rate. So it's a factor that you're wasting money on your marketing because there's this confusion factor and they're going to the wrong place. You're losing sales because your customers are going to the wrong place and they try to type you in, right? So that's kind of, there's a little bit of overlap there, but this is compounding. It's money that's lost. $500 product cost, or your product cost, $2,000 customers, you're doing 2,000 sales at a 10% increase. That is $100,000 a month, or $1.2 million a year. The impact from your domain name. Now you look at a company like a teamwork.com, you look at their story, they saw hockey stick-like growth. It was amazing. I mean, truly amazing. Okay, last frame here on the ROI calculator is the confusion of your employees. Let's say you have 1,500 employees. Let's say they are spending on average, let's just say 2 minutes a day. That's 3,000 minutes in a day, or 50 hours in a day. If they're getting paid $15 an hour, the daily cost is $750. or $191,000. I use 255 days in there as my calculation. What are they spending per day? Saying, don't go here, go over here. Is it a minute? I don't know. Is it 3 minutes? I don't know. Like it depends on the brand. It depends on the domain. It depends on how much confusion you've created. But I do know this is that when you don't own the raw version of your brand, there is a calculation in there. There's an impact in there. So I've given you 3 different ways to look at and to frame this thought of return on investment. There's an impact to your brand. Find that impact. Find the impact of your domain name. Now you compound it. Now, what happens is that your domain name is available. Maybe there's a company that's on there that's really not doing anything with it. Okay, so it's taken, but it's like available. And you get comfortable. You get comfortable with this number. You get comfortable paying this price. You're like, it's okay to have $150,000 because I'm just like, we built it and I don't believe it. I get it. But consider the possibility that what you think of it is wrong. Like there is an impact. But what happens is that another company comes along. They acquire that domain name, your keyword domain name, in a different trademark class. I get it. Well, I've got a trademark. Well, listen, there's many different trademark classes. They can come in and acquire that and just look at the different companies around the best keywords. Carrot is an example. Bloom is an example. So they can acquire that. And now what happens is that impact goes from 3% to maybe 5%, or 5% to 8%, or 8% to 10%, or 3% to 10%. So a 10% confusion, if you're spending $1 million, that's now $1 million a year in confusion for your brand. 10% confusion, once again, I just already did 10% in there, but let's bring that up to 20% increase. That's $2.4 million. And so that's the risk. It's the biggest risk to your brand, the biggest risk of your ability to scale is another brand comes in, acquires the brand, builds their brand, owns the messaging, owns the global positioning, the leadership, like the industry positioning, and it has a bigger impact on your brand overnight. 3% to 5%. That's I guarantee you the guys at Carrot.co are kicking themselves today that they didn't just step up and buy the domain name. Like $20-something million, $23 million in funding. .co is the worst domain to build your brand on because it creates the most confusion. Missing the M. It's not different. It's not like the IO. Like you have to type it in. You're actually typing in CO, and then you naturally hit the M. So there's an impact. Okay, that's it. Going long here, but think about those 3 frames on how to position and how to frame the game when it comes around return on investment. Hey, I got a new series, chriszuiker.com/domains. Go and check it out. I have 3 videos on there. One goes into like what to do when, how to pick a brand when you have multiple brands or startup. There's multiple brands. Like, okay, which one do I use? Well, domain metrics is a great way to see like what domain is going to go viral, what domain has more inherent equity built into it. So check that out. It's the first video. The second video talks about what do you do when the .com is taken. Okay, talk about a lot about acquiring .com, but what do you do when it's taken? Like you call yourself this brand, but it's taken. How do you avoid the confusion? What's the least confusing method? So that's domain strategies. And the third one is domain leasing, how to get it into the domain name when you don't have the money, but you know you're gonna get funding maybe later on, or you know your business is gonna scale. How do you get into that domain name through domain leasing? So check out those 3 videos. That's at chriszuiker.com/domains. And check that out. Also, hey, if you got any value from this, share it up and reach out to me if you have any questions on domain names, acquisitions, selling your domain name. You can find me at mediaoptions.com. You can find me at chriszuiker.com. Contact information is everywhere. So check it out.